Alright, not good news today. PMT, one of the UK's biggest music retailers, arguably the biggest, at least when it came to a number of physical locations. I think they had around 12 locations, physical brick and mortar stores. Well, they're gone. They've gone out of business. They went to administration yesterday, and sometimes when a company goes into administration, there's a chance of saving it, but that doesn't really look like that's the case here. It seems the PMT are gone. The employees, I think it's around 200 of them, laid off. And that includes the social media guys like Dagan, who are making YouTube videos on the PMT YouTube channel. He's out of the job too. Not good. We've all seen the steady decline of music stores. The small physical locations of shops, they're all closing up, leaving only the big ones. But just recently, like 2 months ago, we started to see something that was a worrying sign. Big stores closing. I covered GAC and Bax, two major music retailers, both closing within the same week. I think there were about 700 employees involved in that. Now, I know people are already probably commenting that this is because kids these days don't want to play instruments and no one's interested in buying guitars anymore. I disagree. And that is backed up by some numbers that we'll get to a little bit later. But first, let's cover what went on with PMT. I spoke to an employee who gave us a little inside view, which is quite interesting. And also, we can access the accounts and we can see, well, it actually paints quite a clear picture of what happened. So PMT started up in 1991 in the UK, and at the time it was referred to as Professional Music Technology. It rebranded in 2022 to be Play Music Today, but throughout those years it was always PMT. That's just what it was referred to. And they had both physical stores as well as an e-commerce site, their website. And they also had a fairly successful YouTube channel with over 300,000 subscribers. And I've just checked, literally just now, they've removed all their videos. All of them. That's actually quite sad. Now, PMT were sold by the original founders in 2019. Now, I know you're probably thinking, because it does happen, that a venture capital firm bought it, they went in, recouped their investment, stripped it dry, and that's why it's gone. I don't think that's the case, because it was sold in 2019 to a staff member, someone who had been there working for 18 years and was high up in the management of the company. It was a management buyout, and the guy who bought it was responsible for opening 6 stores in his time at the company. So it seems like it was in good hands. Now, financing was provided by an equity company, but that probably isn't that unusual. So let's take a look at the company accounts for 2023, 2024, and then I'll tell you what an employee told me. So this is S&T Audio Limited. This was the company that owned PMT. And if we look at their accounts for 2023 and 2024, a clear picture emerges. So the turnover in 2023 was £47 million. The turnover in 2024 was £43 million. That is a significant number. £43 million in US dollars today is $58 million. We're not talking a small amount of turnover here, which indicates that, well, people were interested. You don't sell $58 million worth of equipment to someone who doesn't want to buy. The problem, and I covered it when we were talking about GAC as well, is that a lot of people assume that music retail has the same margins as other types of retail, where it's 50% or more. And there are products in music retail that do have a good markup, like strings. You can get like a 50% or so markup on those. But that's a small thing. The big purchases, it's not even close. It's a small fraction. And then when you have to discount your products further to stay competitive, the margin is tiny. If you look at these accounts here, you have 43 million in turnover, but the cost of sales was 32 million. So the gross profit is 10 million out of that, but 10 million out of 43 million? And look, you're running 12 stores, you've got hundreds of employees, it's going to cost. The administrative expenses were 10,587,000. And then you've got exceptional administrative expenses, another 213,000. They do have some small operating income, be it rents on properties they own or something like that, but it's 63 grand. We're talking about hundreds of thousands. That's a problem. It all adds up for the loss for the financial year of 2024 to be £220,000. And that looks to be an improvement on the year prior. Look at 2023. They actually made, well, they had a higher turnover with 47 million, but they made about the same gross profit of 10.8 million. And then the administrative expenses actually cost more, cost 11.6 million. They had a loss in 2023 of £900,000. And here's the thing, there's this other company called Jamco 2019 Limited. And if you look at them, it seems like this is a company that also has runnings to do with PMT. They state as such. They state here, as of April 30th, 2024, the business operates 12 physical stores alongside its e-commerce platform PMT Online, providing a comprehensive multi-channel experience for its customers. So Jamco Limited is kind of the parent company of the company that was owning PMT as a brand, and these have accounts too. If we get to them here, you'll see arguably an even worse picture painted. So here's your accounts. So if you look at it, the numbers on turnover are still the same, 47 million 2023, 43 million 2024. But the administrative expenses actually are significantly more. It's actually 11 million in 2024, 12 million in 2023, and ultimately the loss for the financial year for 2023 is 2.3 million pounds. And for 2024, it's £1.5 million. Not good. And so yesterday, when all this happened, I was contacted by an employee. They will remain anonymous, but what they said was, it painted a good picture. They said, so we all had a feeling of closure over the past year. Every physical store had to do an online price match for all items. This really hurt the company. So when you spend an hour with a customer and they purchase a guitar, you've only made £20 profit for the company. This whole price matching system ended up with us not dealing with brands entirely. For example, Vox. We haven't sold Vox amps in years, but that's because when we sold one, it was basically at cost, so no profit was made whatsoever. £20 profit in an hour. And think about this. If an employee is working on a minimum wage in the UK, that's £12.21. So immediately more than 50% of your profit from that hour's work is gone on wages. What have you got left? You've got £7.79 in which you have to pay rent and electricity and tax. Where's the profit? Well, it's clear. There is no profit. It's just loss. So yesterday, all the stores were closed. On the fronts of the doors were signs saying that they had gone into administration. And what does that mean? Well, it means that when a company goes into administration, it means they have debts that they can't pay. So they appoint someone to come in and they can restructure a company, they can sell off certain things, keep it operating, or they can just liquidate the whole thing. And it seems that the liquidation of the whole thing is what's happened. The website is now gone. The YouTube channel, very sadly actually, because that's a legacy, it's gone. The stores are all closed, the staff has been laid off, and if you're looking for one final nail in the coffin, it was announced just this morning that Gear for Music have bought up the remaining stock. I believe they've paid about £2 million for it. And Gear for Music did something similar when GAC went into liquidation. And what does that mean? Well, it means PMT is gone, but it also means that if you bought something and hasn't arrived yet, it's not gonna. That company is liquidated. So if you've got it on credit cards, might be time to consider a chargeback. Now look, I know, like I said in the beginning, I know that people are going to say this is the death of the music industry and it's because people aren't buying. But that's not what the numbers indicate. People are very clearly buying, what is it, $58 million in 2024? And that's just one guitar company. I think Guitar have roughly the same amount in their accounts, except they did actually turn a profit, at least last year. So it's not that there isn't customers there ready to buy. It's that the customers are trying to get the best price. Obviously, that's what you would do. But the best price isn't the best for everybody. Physical stores will always have more overheads than a warehouse that can buy in bulk and ship out. And that's what we're looking at. And I said it 2 months ago back when GAC went under, and I believe it. And I remember one comment was laughing at it. But every day it's getting truer and truer. We are heading towards a monopoly, which is not good for the end consumer. Take a look at Behringer, right? Behringer are a company that they're $1 billion musical instrument company, which really is very hard to come by. That's rare. And they've got this thing where super partners, they call it, where they ship in bulk for keeping the price down to Andertons for the UK, Thomann for the EU, Sweetwater for the US, Amazon, and Alibaba. Those are what they call super partners, in which the price is more competitive than anybody who's buying in smaller quantities, which means that people are going to buy from them because it's less money. But look, you've got Amazon and Alibaba. Amazon have their own Amazon Basics branded guitar pedals. They're OEM pedals. But it's very clear with that someone in Amazon has recognized that there is profitability in musical equipment, and they want a slice of that pie, potentially even the full pie. And as small retailers close down, and now even the bigger retailers close down because they can't compete with online prices, well, what's going to happen? You're going to be left with one or two who might have started out cheap, but then when there's no competition, just raise the prices up. That probably will happen. It's not going to happen immediately, but it's going to happen, 10 years? A store like PMT, whose annual turnover is tens of millions, is not closing because kids don't want to play music or people aren't buying music gear. It's closing because it can't compete against online. You may have noticed, a lot more brands are selling direct nowadays. They've foregone the music retail because it's not profitable anymore. So it's the music industry is not dying, but it very much is changing. So that's the video. Like it if you, I'm not going to say like it if you liked it. Like it if you thought it was a good video. It's not a particular topic that I like. I'd much rather talk about company is suing company. But this actually affects, hundreds of people. In a negative way. So anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe I'll see you next time. Bye bye.